we exit the executive session. Have a motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I was waiting for Nancy to call the roll. All right, with that, our first item of business will be Tristan and our friends from the tribe.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I'd make a motion
Okay?
that we, coming out of executive session, that the Lander property be put up for auction as we had put before, and when we get that contract, that the chair has the authority to sign that contract.
Okay, we have a motion. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, Tristan and friends, come on up. Do you want to bring members of the tribe up, Hal, or?
I'm not sure that we have seats for all of them.
We can move a chair or two up.
We'll bring more up. My words were correct in the car. You have them.
Well, welcome, everybody. We'd like to extend a special welcome to our friends from the tribe. We've been looking forward to this conversation. So glad you could make it with us today. And Tristan, the floor is yours.
Tristan Borkwin, Assistant Planning Director. I have before you a possible memo of understanding that we would like to consider with Fort Hall for zoning permits, building permits, and subdivisions that they have going on in their jurisdiction. So right now we have the understanding that if it is fee simple ground, so non-tribal ground, that Bannock County does all the permits for those, and then anything that's tribal ground, the tribe does those permits. But in the last few years, we've had some conversations with them. We've had 3 recent conversations with them. We've been meeting quarterly, and we have found that it's hard to communicate to property owners out there where they're supposed to go. Half of them think they need to come to us, half of them think they need to go to the tribe. And so just to make things easier for property owners, we thought it would be good to consider a memo of understanding where they could take care of those permits and have one place for everybody to go to. So we have one that they have right now with Bingham County as an example for you to review, and we would just like you to consider if that's an option that you would like to move forward with.
Great. Who's speaking for the tribe today?
Oh,
Commissioner Huff?
Yes, sir.
Do me a favor and just go around the room and do formal introductions so that you know who
Yep.
and what their capacity is with.
Absolutely. Thank you. So we'll start here and work our way around.
My name's Lori Niffen, and I'm a Land Use Policy Commissioner.
Thanks.
Pat Bronco, Land Use Commissioner.
Thank you.
Yeah, Darrell Shea, I'm the Land Use Commission, but Lori is the chairman.
Monty Gray, Travel Attorney.
Okay.
Annie Hughes, zoning planner.
I already.
Elise Foster, subdivision planner.
I'm Preston Buckskin, Land Use Director.
Great.
Al Jensen, Planning Director.
Great. Thank you. So any comments from your side of the table?
Yeah, why we would like this memorandum of understanding too is, like she was stating, you know, the property owners don't know whether they go to the tribes or to Bannock County to get their permits, and so they're, I don't know, I'd say having to pay the fees up here and the fees down in Fort Hall. I think it would be good to have it all in one spot, and so the property owners know where to go, and we can deal with the issues that come at hand, because we've had some in the past couple of years that raise questions. And yeah, I just think it'll be a good thing to have.
So if somebody calls your office, you'll just defer them to the tribal office?
Correct.
Okay. Questions, comments?
how many gravel pits are there?
I'd like to know the answer.
Tender subject.
I'd like to say a few things. I've kind of been involved in the tribe's planning department for a number of years, and I went and took another job. But while I was there, we always tried to get to this point, I guess. But we always work with the planning department, you know, for both the county and the city. because we had a lot of stuff going on at the airport. So we had to kind of work with the city planning department. So over the years, you know, we've been kind of looked at ways to avoid going to court, because that's kind of where everything gets settled anyway, if you have a jurisdictional question. But there's been a couple of court cases that kind of dictates how we can develop relationships with, our adjoining jurisdictions. And one of the first things they always tell you is that if you can get a memorandum of understanding, with the other jurisdictions that you have, it beats having to meet in the courthouse, So that's kind of the direction that, that we've been trying to get to. Because like Lori was saying, we do have questions all the time from, the county residents, the non-Indian folks that live out there. So a lot of times, I think these guys don't want to deal with the problem, so they send them out there. But anyway.
We can either confirm or deny that.
And then we'll send them back. So it's back and forth. But yeah, we try to get with these folks and, see where we can meet on even ground. So it's kind of where we're at.
Well, I know Hal mentioned establishing this relationship, about a year ago you started talking about it, and that's why I say we're excited to see you here today. That's the culmination of that work that Hal and his team have done to get us here, so we're excited about that.
Does this agreement with Bingham County work pretty good for you,
Yes, it has.
even with Tiffany?
We'll strike that from the record.
I'm sorry. I can get a call. And you've looked this over?
I have.
And
If we were to execute something with the same language, I wouldn't have any concerns about the legality of what we're doing.
Okay.
Real quickly before you go, when you mentioned that we had conversation, it actually started with Elise with some issues on people that came to her with fee simple ground wanting to subdivide, and she was trying to figure out what was the best way to go. She was good enough to reach out to the tribe, which then started the initial conversations, which then opened up. We've now had 3 meetings together, we meet quarterly, etc. And so kudos to her in a public setting for the fact that push came to shove and things that we had wanted to do, but because we were busy in previous years with the higher, demand workload, etc., we really hadn't followed through with the tribe. And here we are, because of just that one, we need direction on how we should handle this. Anyway, it's growing, it's good, it's very good.
Thank you.
Yes, we do.
Ken?
I had a couple questions. How many properties do you think we're talking about that are fee simple? I mean, we're talking tens, hundreds. I mean, just a rough.
Probably hundreds.
Probably.
Hundreds, okay. And then I guess the other question of it is, now that if we do this, which I'm all for, is how do we educate them that they know which place to go? I mean, because some of them are still old habits, our kid is still, so is there something we can do to educate, or other than just do this, what can we do as a county and the tribe that we can educate people that you'll always, it would just help down the road. If, I don't necessarily expect an answer, but if you have one, I'd love to hear it. So how are we going to educate both sides of the thing? How do we let people know that this is the way they're supposed to do it instead of just keep calling?
So Commissioner Bullock, we always can post it on our website so that they're aware of that. Do some updates on the mapping, so if they could click a layer, they will see that they need to take direction that way. So I think our website in general is a good location to put a lot of that information, and I think it's just educating the public as they come in, and word of mouth spreads very quickly in this community.
I think there's 2 things that you'll get a bigger bang for your buck than those things, really, and that is go to share the memo with the Building Contractors Association and the Realtors Association, and talk to them at their general meetings, at their monthly meetings, and that's where you can disseminate that
think so.
information really quickly.
Great suggestion, great suggestion.
I'll at least just volunteered to do that, I thought.
That's what it sounded like. That's what it sounded like. I thought I heard that.
Well, a little bit of effort there will solve a lot of effort down the road. You know, if we can all collectively, you know, go to whatever organizations that you have ideas with or we was, put the word out there, because this is gonna look really wonderful and great, but I can tell you, not everybody's gonna hit the website. Not everybody's gonna word of mouth it, and they're still gonna get called. So whatever we can do to educate, I think it would be great.
So what's our next step? Obviously, we're in favor,
I
so.
was just going to go down that path and just, at this point, Monty and John will basically craft the language and come to an, I mean, they're the legal components of each jurisdiction that will have to basically make a recommendation, not only to the tribal council, I believe, that we need to approve it, and then back to the commission for signatures, so that everything gets put in place. So we'll wait until they finish crafting the, wordsmithing the language, and off we go.
Do you want Monty to start that, or do you want to start that?
What do you think, Monty?
I can start, we have the template already, what's in place, so I'll probably just shoot you over something very similar to what you've already read.
Okay,
Works.
that works for me.
Okay. Well, any further discussion?
No? Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
I'd just like to mention one thing, that on the comprehensive plan for Bannock County, we also have a comprehensive plan, so we would like to, I guess, have a chance to review, give us a little time to review your comprehensive plan before it gets approved.
Well, we're signing it off today. So you've got about 10 minutes to read it.
It ain't thick as ours, but.
No, we kept it simple.
One thing about those, if there is something that stirs up and gives heartburn, we can amend those anytime and often as we want to do it. So it's not a concrete thing that, nope, we'll never be able to change it. But somebody's gonna discover something. It always does with a breathing document like that. So feel free to, if there's something giving you heartburn, let us know.
How often do you guys review and amend it? Is it automatic or?
Twice in the last 6 years, we've redone it.
Yeah. And we tried to keep it broad enough to allow us room to wiggle and make adjustments as we needed. So, yeah, please feel free to read it, and if you have any suggestions, send it over to Tristan.
We had our public hearing last week on it.
And you were the only ones who weren't here. Maybe not for that meeting, but they were here.
Okay.
Expired, so.
Well, we're glad you made it in today then. All right, well, thank you, appreciate it, and we'll leave it up to Monty and Jonathan to bring us something good.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Shanda.
Good morning, Commissioners. Shanda Crystal, Chief Procurement Officer. I have 2 items before the board today. The first one is a potential signature on a change order for Pro Builders. There's a couple items that have been included in that change order. The first thing was additional 2x8 purlins. The spacing wasn't sufficient for the OSB boards that we had to adjust per the engineer's request. We did move a door to the north side of the building for ADA requirements. We did add a new door and frame to replace an existing one. The biggest piece of this is providing and installing keypad access control locks. As the sheriff's office reviewed who was going to access that building and when they were going to need that access, it was determined that a fob system very similar to what we've installed in other places was going to work the best to be able to control as those different agencies, employees flux, as ours flux, to be able to have that instant control here as to who has access to our facility. So that's going to be the major piece of this. And the final one is lowering existing receptacles and adding TV receptacles in that classroom as well. Change order number 2 comes to a total cost of $23,678. It has been reviewed by the architect and approved. I did forward this briefly to Christy for review as far as where the money was going to come from on this. But it would be our recommendation that the board sign change order number 2 with Pro Builders.
We okay financially with this?
Yeah, I'm still juggling between PILT and ARPA, so I'll work that balance out.
Okay. How's the ARPA stuff going? As far as tracking and lining and getting ready to report and all that fun stuff?
Well, the report I've turned over to Luann, so great. At least from my perspective. I need to come in and do an update to the board, but I was hoping to get the annex projects complete, which I think those are pretty close.
Super
They're
close,
getting
right? The
close.
HVAC, yeah.
So my hope was is after that's done,
Okay.
we'll have some final numbers. I know the electrical came in about 10,000 under, but the exhibit hall is going to come in about 10,000 over. So we're just shifting those funds. Shanda got the contingency on the exhibit, or the YDC building, which I've been dabbling into for some of these items, just to make sure that we don't have ARPA funds left over. So
Okay. Okay.
hopefully I'll do an update at the end of the month.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions on this change order?
Nope.
Yeah. When's the sheriff department gonna quit? They got a lot of money. You go through this ARPA deal, they got a whole lot of money and it just doesn't seem to be ending.
Okay, I will entertain a motion then to approve this.
I'll go ahead and make that motion.
All right, we have a motion and further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Item number 2 is a quick procurement update for you. So if we start at the top of the dashboard with Road and Bridge, the chip seal aggregates, we have finalized that bid and we do intend to go live on Friday with that one. The next one for the hot mix asphalt, we're still reviewing, waiting. We're really hoping to piggyback off of the city of Pocatello. They do a little more of that than we do, so we're hoping to utilize that. We just haven't received those documents yet, but that's what the direction we're hoping to go. The next couple are piggybacks that have been submitted to legal for review. And then in regards to the guardrail, we are leaning to go ahead and bid that out ourselves versus piggybacking off the state contract. Last year, it did save us quite a bit of money doing that. So we think
doing
we're
it
gonna-
ourselves last year?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yep. The state just had some other items mixed in there that didn't make sense for us. So doing it ourselves just saved us a little bit of money on that. So we're leaning on doing that direction again. I'm just waiting to finalize that with Kyle and Bunny. And then if we go down to our one that we've got active today, for Road and Bridge, the road striping and painting, we have already received a bid back in, though the questions aren't due until Tuesday. So we do have a few more weeks for that one as far as questions come back in. That individual that submitted is able to retract that based on those questions that may or may not come in, right? If anything adjusts or change, they can make adjustments up until that due date. So I don't have any heartburn with them already submitting, but we already have somebody interested. So that's nice on that one.
On that one, how many did we have apply for that last year? Did we just have one or did we get a couple last year?
So we had none, but we did split it up into the two. We had labor and the material separate, and we did have a couple contractors contact us expressing their concern about potentially having to lay down material that they didn't approve and purchase themselves, and potential problems that might cause for them. That is one of the reasons why we combined them in this year. And then hoping again, and somebody has already submitted, so we're hoping to have solved that problem and to make them more comfortable with the process. The last update I have is a ongoing project update with 6th Street. Dan reported that a lot of those sidewalks have been coming down, which is great. The company should be on site on Thursday to begin the repairs for the cracking and things that were not fixed. So that should
And we have a target grand opening day for that as what day? Or we don't have one yet?
We don't have one until we have to do the
That's right.
Yeah.
metal detectors.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep, we're hoping that the landscape, right, will be installed here by the end of the week, or at least started, right? And then we have that first kickoff meeting is tomorrow for the metal detectors, but they won't be in here for another couple of weeks to begin install.
Okay.
But we will.
Actually, Judge Nass has a trial going on, so they held back on jackhammering outside his window there. So they're
Really?
gonna start on Thursday.
It's unnecessary. They can start.
That's what I told them.
Oh, Jason.
Is much more willing to move things around.
Okay, thank you.
The rest of us outvoted
Christie.
him, but
Chris, Cloud
we wanted that
Controller.
to move forward.
I just have an invoice that I need commission approval on. We had a $4,000 bill come in from the IRS. It was a timing issue of, we had an interim that was processed through payroll, which means an employee left, wanted their check before the end of the payroll cycle. We did not submit the IRS taxes next day. It was 3 days, so we were penalized $4,000. So I'm requesting to be able to pay this out to county operations. And then we'll end up using like the potential litigation, we'll just use bottom line.
Go ahead and take it out of Terrell's travel. It's April 1st, I'm sorry.
That's an old joke I haven't heard in a while.
It's a good one, it never gets old.
Yes.
On this note, I do have some good news, that if we got in a pinch, we received an $81,000 check from the Capital Crime Defense Fund. It was what we had overpaid, and because that is no longer in existence, we got a refund check. So if it comes down to it, I can open the budget for this to cover this $4,000.
Okay. And just so I'm understanding, it was an employee left early and we didn't send their withholdings to the IRS.
Yes, we processed the payroll and did not pay the taxes next day.
The 941 side of that.
Yes.
I did not know that was a requirement.
Oh,
Just
yes.
Just learn something new every day.
Depends on how large your payroll is, how long you have to submit it, and.
And this got missed.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yep.
if approved, if the board would sign that, and then I'll code it out of county operations, and I'll let Kristen know.
They make it where it's really easy to get tripped. And you can't work with them at all. They're ugly.
Okay, well.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve this payment.
We have a motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
When I saw that last night, I was going, what are we getting an IRS bill for? So I was not tracking.
Well, that's because we never get them.
Yeah.
So what was the amount of the withholdings that didn't get submitted?
I don't have,
Probably peanuts compared to
was.
$4,000.
it was peanuts. Because you figure it was one individual.
Yeah. For one pay
and
period.
Now, I think the individual did have a little bit of a payout, but it's still.
Yeah, that's.
All right, next on the agenda is resolutions. We have a boatload of them to talk about today. We have Resolution 2025-26, which is the authorization to dispose surplus assets and property. Resolution 2025-27, adopting the 2025 comp plan and the future land use map. Resolution 2025-28, which is the decision of appeal on the Planning Council's denial of Wilkes conditional use permit application. Resolution 2025-29, approving the March 2025 salaries. Resolution 2025-30, approving January 2025 alcohol licenses. And the County Ordinance 2025-2, which is an amendment to the ordinance, which is amendment number 1. And we're amending County Ordinance 2009-5. Any discussion on any of those resolutions?
No. I would make the motion that we go ahead and approve, adopt, whatever word you want to use on there, resolutions number 2025, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and County Ordinance 2025-2, with the amendment to Ordinance 2009-5.
Okay, we have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Those pass. Jason will have all of those. We have 2 items from the Elections Department. Jason, you want to speak to those or anything that we need to know?
Which one is that one that she brought in today?
Chubby Call Facility Use
Oh,
Form?
yeah, those just for our poll worker training and polling location.
Okay.
Agreement with Chubbuck. we're gonna have to find a few new polling locations for Chubbuck, because of course they're kicking us out of the mall that won't exist anymore.
Yeah,
So,
your spot will be hard to find.
yeah.
Okay, so we have that for Julie. Any issues with signing the facility use form for Chubbuck?
We have to go through security there?
Nope.
Not unless you're going upstairs. All right, I'd move that we go ahead and approve the facility use form for elections and the city hall in Chubbuck. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. Next is the Pine Ridge Mall waiver and release of liability. This also needs our insurance agreement attached, it says.
Is that just for the elections?
Yep.
Okay.
So I'd go ahead and move that we approve this agreement with the Pine Ridge Mall and elections as well. Any discussion on this? Do you have a chance to look at this, Bay?
I did, I don't have any issues
Okay.
with it.
Okay. All right, I have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, customer setup form. This is for CCS presentation systems. This is the information needed for the equipment for the commissioners' chambers. Any questions or comments on this?
No.
I'll take a motion to approve chair signature on this.
I'd make a motion that we go ahead and approve the chair's signature on the CCS agreement.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, next we have the consent agenda, which is a certificate of residency, some salary rate approval forms, and minutes from March 2025. Any comments, discussion on any of those items?
No, I'd make a motion that we go ahead and approve the consent agenda as mentioned.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Looks like the event center is staffing up for summer.
Mm-hmm.
Weed mosquito.
Yep, and weed and mosquito.
And they got a few of these from that health, or that job fair they went to.
How'd that go?
I stopped by and it was really well attended. It was good. With that, we